Frank, why? Why did you make me do this? I never really wanted to make a video like this, but after seeing what happened with the Lakers versus Kings game, here I am. I'm going to be talking about Frank Vogel and some of the issues that I've been having with him all season long that have been really creeping up. And especially as we're headed towards the playoffs, I think that it's kind of concerning. And I think that if there was any other head coach in this position, seeing that this is the Los Angeles Lakers we're talking about, they would be on the hot seat. It's almost our responsibility to hold him responsible, seeing that it's the Los Angeles Lakers. So I just want to go over a few issues that I've been having when it comes to Frank Vogel and some things that I believe we should be talking about. Now, before I go into this video, I don't want this to be misleading in the fact that I think that Frank Vogel is just this awful coach and I want him to get fired, or trying to advocate for him trying to get fired, which could not be further from the truth. I'm not advocating for him to get fired, but I do think that he should be held responsible, just like all coaches should be when they're losing, especially when you're losing games that you should be winning. I understand that Frank Vogel is a defensive-minded coach who is very, very well knit on the defensive end. He knows how to push players from outside the rim, stopping them from getting high percentage looks at the rim and, influencing them to take harder shots such as mid-range shots and threes. I also understand how he likes to let players do their own thing on offense because he believes that players in this generation are so creative that they can generate their own offense through just the flow of the game. So I'm not saying that he is just overall just a horrible coach and he doesn't have any good tendencies or he doesn't have any benefits to him. No, because he does. However, that doesn't mean that we just have to sweep under the rug all the other things that he does and should not be held responsible for those things just like any other head coach. So let's get into number one, which is going to be talking about his rotations. And the rotations are just bad all around. Like, there are so many times that you can just look at a rotation and it just doesn't make sense why a certain group of players are out there. Oftentimes it results in poor floor spacing. I remember one time he had like a really big lineup that just had like 3 players that were only known for scoring inside the paint. So everyone was just clogged up near the interior. It's just a bad look. Oftentimes he'll go very long stretches without playing some of his players, such as Marc Gasol, which I don't understand how Marc Gasol went from being our starting center to just not being played overall. I understand that Marc Gasol has his flaws, especially when it comes to interior defense, just because he is a little bit older, so he can't rim protect the same way he used to be. But I do believe that he is still a rotation player. I do believe that he does deserve some sort of roster spot when it comes to our rotation. He deserves some minutes. It's not like he's just overall bad, because no, he does stretch the floor. He can create a little bit for himself and he is a great passer. So seeing some of the matchups where Montrezl Harrell just sometimes seems to be a little bit outmatched because of his height, seeing Marc Gasol come in would actually be a great factor. And vice versa can be true as well, as seeing that Montrezl Harrell got a DNP against the second game against the Dallas Mavericks, where the Lakers could have probably used Montrezl's energy, his spirit when he comes onto the court. He really does elevate everyone else around him because he does kind of, give that energy off because he is a dog. To see him go through awkward rotations and pieces that sometimes don't even fit, it's just awkward to see. And again, I understand the overall bigger picture. He wants to test different rotations so that come playoff time, he knows what works and he knows what doesn't work. But still, at times, it does feel like Frank does need to focus on the task at hand, which is winning games, which is my big criticism when it comes to Frank Vogel at this point, which is I feel like sometimes he does look at the bigger picture overall. However, someone does need to remind him about the right now, which is you do need to focus on winning games in the present. You do need to start putting out rotations that are better suited for us to win, because you can't just throw out just any other player, because sometimes it does go long stretches without scoring, which leads into the second thing that's wrong with Frank Vogel, which is he allows these long offensive stretches where we don't score. And when I mean don't score, I don't mean 1 point. Free throws, field goals, it does not matter. We will just go 3, 4, sometimes even 5 minutes without scoring a single basket. And I think our poor offense is often a result of our poor rotations, which just feeds into this cycle because we just have these really long stretches where we don't score anything at all. It literally seems like sometimes we're just hoping that we can score. Like, it gets that bad offensively at times. And I understand that Frank Vogel doesn't want to show off his playoff route and all that other stuff, so he's not going to show his playbook in the regular season. But there are times where you do have to think about, okay, we're going on long stretches without scoring. We're going to allow this team to crawl back into the games, and that's how they beat us, which is why I'm ultimately making the video that we have right now, because we have a tendency now of 3 blowing leads. Because of everything we do, which is we go long offensive stretches without scoring, we don't have great rotations, and we do turn over the ball a lot, that is a recipe for allowing leads to be blown. Because we're going on these long stretches without scoring, we're allowing teams to crawl back in, and we see this happen all the time. The Lakers were up 10 against the Kings. All you had to do was just play 12 minutes of solid basketball. But of course, defense starts to struggle a little bit, and then offensively you can't get a bucket. It's just a recipe for blowing leads, and you're seeing it happen, and it's just becoming frustrating to watch. And I feel like as head coach, Frank Vogel should be held responsible for this. You have to get the other players involved, try to avoid these long stretches of prolonged no scoring. It's just an issue. It's an issue for this team that they need to resolve. Otherwise, it can be a problem come playoff time. I just feel like when we go on these long prolonged periods without scoring, he should call timeouts, or I think Frank Vogel likes to wait a little bit too long and other teams start to gain momentum. I wish he would call timeouts a little bit sooner instead of just waiting a little bit. He should start calling them out a little bit earlier, as well as not allowing the team to go on prolonged stretches without scoring. So that Lakers versus Kings game was kind of just like the straw that broke the camel's back, because once I saw Frank Vogel being out coached by Luke Walton, I just had it right there. I'm sorry, I had to draw the line right there. I had to call Frank Vogel out on this because he does need to be held responsible. There's just no way you blow a 10-point lead, you get out coached by Luke Walton, who doesn't have De'Aaron Fox. Neto didn't even play in the second half. Barnes didn't even play the whole game, and Buddy Hield shot 1 for 13, and you still lost the game. I'm sorry, it was just inexcusable. There's nothing that you can say that can excuse what we saw from Frank Vogel and the Lakers last night. It was just a very disappointing loss overall. So my point of view is just that Frank Vogel should be held responsible like any other head coach in this position should be, and if the playoffs do not go the way that we think it will, then he should absolutely be held responsible. But that's all I have for you guys today. Thank you guys so much. If you listened this far, please drop a like on the video. It'd be much appreciated, and please subscribe if you enjoy basketball content. Please check out my other videos if you enjoy basketball content, and comment down below what you thought about this video and what do you think about the Lakers moving forward. What do you think about their playoff chances, and are you still on the Lakers to win the championship this season? But without further ado, guys, I am out. Peace.